been a police officer for a long time, and after enough years on the job, you learn something important. You learn how to ignore things. Not everything makes sense. Not everything has an answer. And if you try to understand every strange detail, you stop sleeping. But this case, this is not one of those things. I'm telling this anonymously, because back in 2019, I was part of a case that never made sense. Not to me, not to anyone involved. And what we told the family was not the full truth. It started in February of 2019. A married couple, Sean and Renee, had just begun to recover from the worst thing a parent can experience. Their son, Martin, 14 years old, had been found dead in the woods not far from their home. At the time, his body was still in the morgue. We were waiting on the investigation before doing anything further. That night, around 2 a.m., Renee said she had a dream, but the way she described it, it didn't feel like a dream. She told us she was younger again, 29. She was standing in a field with dry grass beneath her feet, and beside her was Martin. Only he was younger too. He was barefoot, like he used to be. She said he hated wearing shoes when he was a kid. He was laughing, running toward the sun. At first, everything felt normal. Then the lights started getting brighter, too bright. People around them started disappearing. The park emptied. The sky faded. She could smell something burning, like dry leaves. But she didn't feel heat. She called out to Martin. He answered, but she couldn't see him anymore. The light kept getting stronger, blinding, and just as she thought she was about to lose her sight, she woke up, not from the light, from a scream, a deep, guttural scream. She sat up in bed, confused, trying to figure out if it came from inside the house. But it didn't. It came from outside. She opened the window and leaned out. At first, nothing. Then it came again. Long, painful, like someone begging for help. That's when Sean woke up. He asked her what was wrong. She told him someone was outside, screaming. They stood there listening, trying to figure out where it was coming from, but the street was empty. Dead quiet. No movement. No people. No lights turning on in nearby houses. The scream echoed again. This time, it sounded farther away, or maybe closer. They couldn't tell. Eventually, they went back inside. They told themselves it was nothing. A prank. Someone messing around. But they didn't believe it. Not really. Now everything I'm about to tell you next comes from what we recovered. And what I personally saw when I searched Martin's room. Martin had snuck out that night, around 11 p.m. Not because he was rebellious, but because of something he found online, a ritual. According to his laptop, he had visited a strange website, old, outdated, like something from the early 2000s. The instructions were simple. Go to a graveyard. Stay there for 15 minutes. Then come back with a dead person's name. That was step one. The graveyard he chose was where his grandmother was buried. He called it Grandma's Place. He walked there alone, and based on what we pieced together, he knew something was wrong even then. The website had one rule: do not look back, no matter what you hear, and he heard things. Footsteps behind him, laughter, running, something following him, but no one ever passed him. He made it to the graveyard, sat by his grandmother's grave, and waited. 15 minutes, in total darkness. Then he ran home. Back in his room, he prepared the ritual. A candle, a lighter, a mirror. But something changed. He got scared. Really scared. We could tell from the marks on the bed. He curled up tightly, like a child hiding. He didn't want to continue, but he left the window open. That was part of the ritual. At some point, something in the room changed. We don't know what, but we saw the signs. The laptop overheated from the inside. Not burned, just wrong. Like something passed through it. The window wouldn't open further. even though there were marks showing he tried. The closet doors were open, wide. The candle had been lit, but the ritual wasn't finished. And then there was the smell. I didn't write it in the report, but I remember it. Damp, sour, wrong. Martin's body was found later that night, in the cemetery. I was there. I saw him, and I'll never forget what I said. In 20 years, this is the healthiest corpse I've ever seen. No injuries, no bruises, nothing. Just pale skin, like he was sleeping. The autopsy was scheduled. His parents wanted answers. So did we. Then Sean called me. He told me about the screams. The same ones from that night. I went back to their house, searched the room again. That's when I saw it. Footprints. Not on the floor. Above the closet, on the wall. Large. Too large. Like something had been crouching there. Watching. I didn't report it. Some things you don't write down. Then the emails started. Renee showed us. Hundreds of them. Different senders. No pattern. All saying the same thing: do not perform the autopsy. We ignored it. We needed answers. The day of the autopsy, everything went wrong. Staff ran out of the morgue. Some collapsed. Some refused to go back inside. Sean called me, asking what was happening. I told him to turn on the news. Then I told him the truth. The screams he heard that night. They weren't coming from outside. They weren't from the woods. They were coming from the morgue, from his son's freezer. And that's why I don't ignore things anymore. Because sometimes, the things you try to ignore are still alive.